The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Time once again to take a look at some of the economic development and real estate news that's happening around Fall River. Every week, I'm joined by Kevin Lawrence. He's the owner, publisher of Fall River Development News, which you can find on Facebook every day of the week. He pretty much posts every day. Kevin, how are you?
Very well. Happy to be here once again.
All right, let's start right off. One of the reasons why we put this segment together is, I know people that live in a neighborhood will look at like a building or something and say, boy, I wonder what's happening with that building. I've seen this for a long time. I wonder what's going on. One of those is actually in the Flint area, Eastern Avenue. It's the old Notre Dame Rectory, Church Rectory, that survived the fire from decades ago. And a lot of people may drive by it but not know what's going on. You actually have some news on what may happen to the rectory.
Yeah, it was built back in the 1900s, early 1900s. It's a historic building, a beautiful property. The Zoning Board of Appeals back in 2021 and 2023 approved a variance to turn that rectory into a 14-unit apartment building with 21 spaces. It's been sitting there ever since. Nothing's happened with that approval. But we did break the story a few days ago that there was a mortgagee's foreclosure auction set to happen next week on April 24th. I watched the Historical Commission meeting earlier this week, and one of the engineering companies that is doing work for the owner says the owners have reached a deal with the bank that has been lending them money, and it will not be foreclosed on, and there will not be an auction. So I looked at the legal notices today. The auction date for the 24th is still there according to the latest legal notices. So I don't know what to believe at this point, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Either way, if they do settle the financial issues, construction is supposedly going to start this June on this new 14-unit apartment complex inside the historic Notre Dame Church Rectory at 529 Eastern Avenue in Fall River.
Any idea on whether, these will be market rate or affordable or not? Do you know?
The mayor has been touting this as an affordable housing project.
Okay.
I don't know what the ratio is going to be, but the mayor brought it up in a State of the City address regarding this potential development that's going to happen at the former Notre Dame Rectory on Eastern Avenue.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, more real estate news when it comes to housing. There's 21 townhouses that are up in the area of South Beacon Street. First of all, tell us where South Beacon Street is and give us some details.
South Beacon Street is on the south end of Fall River, and 21 residential townhouse units across 7 buildings on the western side of South Beacon Street are proposed. This goes back several years. Originally, they wanted to build a self-storage complex there, but it was previously approved back in 2022 for a residential development. So this would be 21 new residential market rate townhouse units in 7 triplex buildings. So there would be 3 units in each of those 7 buildings. And that's slated to move forward very soon, I believe.
All right, and South Beacon Street, for people who want to know, it's actually off Middle Street.
Yes,
right near Kennedy Park,
St. Anne's Hospital, that area.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Keith, for saving me on that.
Right, all the way down the hill. It's between Broadway and Bay Street.
Yeah.
So it's parallel, actually perpendicular to Middle Street in the far south end. So I know I was wondering where it was. So while you were talking, did a Google Maps search and it came up. All right, a couple of restaurants in the news. Many of you may know Almacs on the Go, what used to be Almacs on the Go on the south end of Fall River, owned by the family of City Councilor Cliff Ponte. Almacs on the Go, as we know it now, is closing, but one of their other properties will be moving in.
Yeah, it actually closed on Sunday, April 13th. A brand new New York bagel location will be moving into that 550 Newton Street location. It was a former Tim Hortons donut shop about a decade ago. And they're going to do some interior remodeling, and they're going to change the signage. And once that is completed, it will reopen as a New York bagel location. Cliff Ponte, city councilor and businessman, and his partner Kyle Lima will have 5 New York bagel locations when this one comes online hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
And another restaurant item up for that may be of interest to people is right in downtown Fall River, Origen, which we've talked about before here.
Yeah.
We actually did a news segment about that when Origen was first opened a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That restaurant is now closed, but now the building is possibly coming up for sale.
Well, the signs are still up on the Origen Bar and Grill, and people were wondering what's happening with it. It hasn't been open since last summer, and people I've talked to, business owners surrounding the restaurant, haven't seen any activity. We finally see something happening. The building has been put up for sale. It's not only the restaurant on the ground level, there's office space on the upper levels as well. They're asking $799,000 for the entire complex. That's not a bad deal, to be honest with you. The restaurant was remodeled several years ago. You may remember it as the Tap House Bar and Grill. That was a very popular restaurant in downtown Fall River. They closed several years ago. It became an Asian restaurant. And then the Origen Bar and Grill, which featured Latin American cuisine, that lasted about a year, but hasn't been in operation since April of 2024. Hopefully someone purchases the building and can make a go of the new restaurant, whatever they choose to put in that downtown location. It's a primary location because it's right next to the courthouse.
Right across the street.
Building. So it's a good location.
All right, we'll have to wait and see, and I know you'll have that update when it's when things happen with it. I actually want to end with one other item. A few weeks back, you actually started a discussion about the condition of not only the road, but of the supports and everything around the item in the tunnel under Government Center. You had mentioned that there was some overgrown vegetation there. There needed some painting to be done. Even some of the concrete was chipping a little bit. That kind of blew up with others on social media, making a big deal of it. There was actually some work done, lighting as well under the tunnel. There was actually some work done recently, but not necessarily everything. Fill us in.
Well, we posted some photos. We had some Google photos, which is great because they can get right underneath the tunnel with those Google cameras. We posted them. It went viral. Other people shared and commented. We got thousands and thousands of views on that. The Government Center tunnel has lighting that was put in there back in the 1970s. A lot of it was burnt out. The bulbs were not illuminated. Mass DOT recently fixed those light bulbs. So the tunnel underneath Government Center on 195 is much brighter now. But now that it's brighter, you see the exhaust fumes from the cars on the retaining walls. The walls are still filthy. Mass DOT, a couple of Saturdays ago, they did sweep the sidewalks underneath the tunnel. So that's clean. They did some weeding. But the retaining walls inside the tunnel and leading in the tunnel and out of the tunnel are filthy. They're still black, so hopefully someone can power wash those and maybe we can get them painted with some cement paint. Also, the chain link fences surrounding the tunnel area were installed back in the 1960s. I believe it was 1964. They are completely rusted and decaying. They're in poor condition. If you lean up against one of those chain link fences, they kind of shake back and forth. So that's kind of a hazard as well. And hopefully Mass DOT will replace those at some point. I know Carol Fiola, State Rep Fiola, posted some pictures complimenting Mass DOT for their recent cleanup of the tunnel. And she says they're going to be doing some new lighting underneath the tunnel soon. Maybe we'll get some LED lighting, some modern lighting underneath the tunnel to make it even more illuminated at some point.
Yeah. Well, you started the groundswell, and at least baby steps, right?
Yes.
One step at a time, things are getting done.
Yeah.
You can check out Kevin's work on Fall River Development News on Facebook. Please like, share, or follow. He'll appreciate that. And then we appreciate Kevin every week. Kevin, we'll talk again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Keith. Have a good day.